Back here talking Russell Wilson now, where according to the latest report out of Seattle, crickets on the trade front. It was a small article. The Seahawks, meanwhile, appear to be in on giving Russ what he's asked for, help on that offensive line. Seahawks reportedly evaluating potential O-line fits. That on the heels of free agency opening up in how long? Oh, I don't know, 2 days. Here it comes. Brian Westbrook is back with us now. But Brandon, let me start with you. Can the Seahawks save the relationship with Russ at this point?
Absolutely. But it's going to take for them to do exactly what they're doing, looking at offensive linemen and not just doing what they have always done in signing guys. And we're talking about dudes like, oh, this is a project guy, or this is a guy that's coming off of two down years, but he was all pro 2-3 years ago. No, what they need to do is prioritize the position. I think what Russell Wilson is looking for is, you know, how much are we allocating to this position? You got the Raiders, they're sitting around 50-something million a year, and then you got the Dolphins. So he's looking at that and seeing, like, is this really a priority for us? If it is, then you want to make it a priority with your checkbook. And I also think when you look at the offensive line, there's one guy on that offensive line that is a staple, and that's Dwayne Brown. And Dwayne Brown is getting up there in age, but everybody else, those dudes are second string at the best on any other team. So the thing that needs to happen for them to get past this is Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson have to become partners. What do I mean by that, Brandon? Like, what do you mean by that, Brandon? Like, you know, it's a head coach and you got a quarterback. Well, Russell Wilson makes way more money than Pete Carroll. Like, this is bigger than just a coach and a player relationship. This needs to be a partnership. Now, not every player has this right. Not every player has this privilege. But when you're talking about Russell Wilson and how much he means to this organization, you guys really have to give him a seat at the table. Now, I was there. Part of this is on Russell. Russell, he likes every shiny toy. You know, oh, my goodness, DK Metcalf, love him. You got DK Metcalf. Oh, Antonio Brown. And then you got Josh Gordon. You got this and that. So it comes a point where maybe John Snyder and then also Pete Carroll's like, all right, Russ, like, we can't get everybody. But what happens is a lot of the things that Russell is saying in passing is going in one ear and out the other. And Russell never called him out on it. Now he's getting fed up because he's seeing Tom Brady, you know, hoist his 7th Lombardi trophy. He's seeing everybody talk about Mahomes and even the old Aaron Rodgers. He's like, well, what about me? Like, why am I not in this discussion? So not only does he want to win, but he wants to win with flair. He wants to win in high fashion, Nick. So Russell Wilson needs to become a partner for this thing to work. Now, Pete Carroll, is he willing to do that? Probably not. And so this thing can explode. But Russell Wilson needs to have a seat at the table.
Brandon, in the last 90 minutes, it got a little bit harder for Seattle because their left guard, Mike Iupati, retired after the season. There was a left guard available because of Giants cap constraints and Kevin Zeitler. He actually played with Russ at Wisconsin. I know there were some reports saying this would make a lot of sense, and because of the way he was cut, you could sign him before free agency. And you know who did this morning per Adam Schefter? The Baltimore Ravens. So that's one less little potential, hey, look, Russ, look what we did for you. That's now gone. Your old teammate, your old left guard, nope, he now plays for the Ravens, who had to replace Marshall Yanda to help their franchise quarterback in Lamar Jackson. What I think, Brian, the Seahawks have working for them is pieces keep getting taken off the chessboard. Dallas removed itself. New Orleans never should have been on the chessboard because they have no way to make this work financially. And you have Chicago, which all the reports out of Chicago are they're going to make an amazing offer. But whatever offer they provide, they can't provide the one thing that I would think Seattle has to get back. Either a quarterback or a pick with which they can draft a quarterback. Seattle doesn't have, or Chicago doesn't have that. So I do think Seattle, if those were really the only 4 teams Russ would go to, there's only one left, really, that to me is realistic. That's Vegas. Now, Vegas has, I couldn't believe this, I read this stat this weekend, they have been above 500 once in 18 years. One time. So if Vegas wants to step up and say, we'll give you Derek Carr and a bunch of first-round picks, maybe this gets done. But otherwise, Brian, I wonder if Seattle's mindset is, we'll do some of what you want, Russell, but you should have picked a better list because that list is quickly becoming one and at most two teams, and those teams got to present a reasonable offer.
You know, Nick, when you talk about Vegas, I read a report last week that Mike Mayock said that Derek Carr is our guy. And that's not to say that guys and GMs and presidents don't change their mind over the course of time, but usually you don't come out and say that and then you go trade for another quarterback. So I just don't see that happening either. You know, to me, this all goes back to that Super Bowl. And I don't know if you guys remember, but I remember seeing Russell Wilson and Sierra watching down the field at Patrick Mahomes and all the weapons that he has. Tom Brady and all the weapons that he has. And he didn't look happy. He didn't look happy at all up there in that suite. He was sitting there with Roger Goodell and his beautiful wife, and they were just sitting there. They were having a great conversation, and Russell Wilson was pouting because he was jealous. He was upset. And to me, this play has all been about getting some control with that front office as far as in Seattle, having some say-so in the things that are going to go on in that front office, but getting more weapons around them. You have great wide receivers. You have the ability to run the football, and I think now you have to get that offensive line. You got a brand-new offensive coordinator, and I think that plays a big part. Shane Waldron is a guy that was a passing game coordinator for the Rams. He is a balanced offense type of guy. You're not going to be all run-focused. Now Russell Wilson can throw the ball a little bit more. They can be more aggressive there, but in order to do that, you have to find a way to protect your quarterback. And for me, from the beginning, this is what this was all about. Being able to find players to put around Russell Wilson to protect him so he's not getting banged up from the quarterback position.
Hey, Brandon, doesn't this feel like a looming divorce? Like there's problems in the marriage, like, well, yeah, we got divorced yesterday. Like, you did? Yesterday? That was fast. Versus like, yeah, you know, 2 years ago, remember how we were having problems? Yeah, we made it official. Doesn't it feel like that? And doesn't it feel a little bit like Tom Brady, that there was problems in New England, kept winning? It's like, all right, by the way, my house is for sale now, even though I'm going to play a full year, and then I leave. So it feels like Russ will give it one more year. Unless they win the Super Bowl, this is just going to get worse and worse and worse. Then Seattle will also be in a financially advantageous position to move on from Russ next year, because this year there's cap hit would be 39. Next year it'll be 26. That's numbers courtesy of our resident GM before the meeting.
Right.
So do you think this year it feels like he stays? Next year, do you see him going?
No, I think Russ is going to put pressure on him. Like, Nick, you just talked about the Baltimore Ravens stepping up and taking that guard off the board. The more those things happen, I think the more angry Russell Wilson gets and the more pressure he puts on Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks. You're 100% right, Wilds, where, you know, this relationship, we're talking about phenomenal relationship between Russell Wilson and starting with the city of Seattle, then going to the ownership, and then Pete Carroll and John Snyder and everyone in that locker room. That relationship between him and Pete is fabulous. I mean, that's what you dream of when you put together your organization and you say, okay, these two guys got this. This has to fit, and they have to work well together. But the reality is that now Russell Wilson is stepping into his own. And I think once the Legion of Boom was broken up, then they gave it to Russell Wilson, and it took him time to say, you know what, I am the guy. He just led by example. Yeah, Russ was raw. He said those things. Now he literally has to lead this organization. And this is the first time he's felt comfortable sitting down with management and talking in black and white. Like, I know we are friends. I know we love each other. But this is about business now. And that's what you're seeing. So if they don't make it right, then yeah, it could be one more year. But Russell Wilson is putting the pressure on Seattle right now to make it right, because he see everybody else achieving things at a high level. And don't get it twisted. He wants to be right in all of those discussions on television. He wants all the awards. He wants to win Super Bowls. And like I said earlier, he wants to do it in high fashion.
You know which team doesn't have a quarterback issue right now? The Green Bay Packers. They had a running back issue, but not anymore. Packers signed Aaron Jones up over the weekend. But is that enough to get the Pack to Super Sunday? Find out next. Brian, thank you as always.